Let's head over to the Extensions tab and install Material Icon Theme, and then Angular Theme. Now that Visual Studio Code looks the part, I will show you 7 more extensions that will greatly improve your coding workflow as an Angular developer. By the way, I'm Alex, a software engineer, and I use all the following extensions on a regular basis to get projects and features done faster and be more efficient in general. Let's get started. Accessing properties and methods inside HTML files can be really frustrating. You don't have the usual auto-completion, error checking, quick info and navigation you are used to in a TypeScript class. So this first VS Code extension is an absolute necessity for every Angular developer, the Angular Language Service. Let me show you how it supercharges your templates. Inside the components HTML, we want to access a property from the TypeScript file. As soon as we start writing, we receive a completion list. We can even access complex types and hit Tab to complete. Additionally, if you hover with your mouse over the interpolation, you can inspect the exact type. Of course, this works with methods as well. Let's quickly write a button and give it a click event that should trigger a method. We get the expected code completion and now even syntax highlighting because we did not provide a needed argument for our method. Hitting F12 will show us the respective definition in the TypeScript file. I can assure you, once you install the Angular Language Service, you will never want to write code without it. The next VS Code extension is all about navigation. Working with components is our bread and butter. However, moving between the HTML, the CSS, or the TypeScript files while implementing a feature, or just reading and understanding code can be really tedious. Wouldn't it be cool if we had a set of shortcuts that lets us easily navigate between the different files within a specific component? Well, the extension Angular 2 Switcher does just that. For Windows, Alt+U opens the TypeScript file, Alt+I the style sheet, Alt+O the HTML, and Alt+P the test file. If you are on a Mac, just start every command with an additional shift. Once you have those shortcuts ingrained in your mind, navigating within a component feels like a breeze. For our next VS Code extension, picture this scenario. You start implementing a new feature and you notice that it should be contained inside its own component. But you already wrote some HTML with a string interpolation and you don't want to do it all over again. The Angular component extractor comes to aid and does pretty much what its name implies. We can highlight our markup, provide a folder name, and the extension takes care of the rest. It transforms our HTML markup into a component selector, creates that new component, and even adds it to the app module. It does struggle a bit with more complex components that use lots of CSS classes, services, and methods, and you still have to do a little cleanup afterwards. For example, the exact property type is missing, as you can see here. Nonetheless, the Angular component extractor is a convenient extension that saves a bit of time during the early stages of implementing and refactoring a feature. I firmly believe that trying to remember syntax is a waste of time. The common stuff comes automatically with practice, and for all the rest, we have the Visual Code extension Angular Snippets. Once you install it, you can start writing a dash and gain access to lots and lots of snippets depending on the context of your application. For example, within the HTML file of a component, you could write a dash ng class, and you only need to fill the placeholders with your specific logic. How about initiating a for loop or filling a completely empty file with boilerplate code for components, directives, services, pipes, you name it. There's a huge list of snippets you have access to, so definitely give this extension a try. Admittedly, this next VS Code extension is not really Angular specific. However, we work so much with CSS in our daily lives that I felt obligated to add this one to the list. CSS Peek enables us to inspect and navigate CSS definitions directly from the HTML file. You can hover over an HTML tag, ID or class while pressing Ctrl. This will then open up a preview of all the applied styles. You can even make changes inside that preview and press the usual F12 to go directly to the style definition. Isn't that cool? However, as an Angular developer, there's one recommended setting you might want to make. CSS Peek's compatibility with HTML tags can be a bit annoying since we don't want to lose the ability to quickly jump to the component by clicking on its selector. You can disable that behavior by going to the user settings, type in CSS Peek, scrolling all the way down to this setting right here where it says support tags, and just uncheck it. Granted, Angular's command line is powerful and lets you scaffold lots of functionality, but why remember CLI commands when you can just use the extension Angular CLI? This amazing code generation tool lets you create components, modules, and services by simply using the graphical interface of Visual Studio. With it installed, you just need to right-click on a folder, decide on what you want to create, like a component, type in a name, well, let's call it family, and let the extension do the work for you. Oh look, the family component gets created, along with the HTML, CSS, TypeScript, and test files. And it even gets imported into our app module. Pretty convenient, right? Have you ever created a component and a couple of days later you are no longer satisfied with the name you gave it? Maybe its intention changed or a fellow programmer suggested a better name during code review. I always find it annoying to change the name at all places along with the imports and module configuration. The extension rename Angular component is a real blessing here. We just need to right click on the Angular file, type our new name, let's go with teenager, and watch the magic happening. Look, the files got renamed, the imports to other components are updated as well, like in our app module or in the parent component. Using these Angular extensions will make you more efficient and faster overall. But all that speed is useless if your actual application is slow as a turtle. This video here shows you two methods that can significantly speed up the load times of your Angular project. Definitely check it out. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.